when it first came out, everyone went absolutely nuts about that console. And this is going to be my amazing point I'm going to bring out in a sec. Everyone went absolutely nuts about that console, and then it faded away, because the big thing about that console was it wasn't gamers. I mean, gamers were buying it, and they were buying it and then moaning about it not being a hardcore machine. But it was, it was parents that were buying it. My mum bought a fucking Wii. My mum bought a Wii. My mum's never played video games ever. Like, and I grew up playing video games. Yeah, I think she played Street Fighter 2 with me once when I was a kid on the Super Nintendo. She never played a game. She played a Wii all the time. Wii Fit Sports, not Wii Fit, but Wii Fit. Oh my god, absolutely loved it. Loads of people got it. One Christmas present, I got her like the Wii Fit accessory kit with like the name arm brands and little weights, and she was over the moon about it. And that Wii Fit, you couldn't get hold of that for love nor money around Christmas time at some point. That was just gone. And I feel like a lot of people got burnt though with the Wii, because it was gimmicky. What Nintendo has, and this could be hopefully my amazing point, what Nintendo has always done since the original Nintendo Entertainment System is this, and how they marketed it. They've produced toys. The original Nintendo Entertainment System, and there are many games historians, you can find them on YouTube, who will talk about this in better detail than I do, and I'm just going to kind of give an overview. But the big thing about Nintendo was this. There was the video game market crash in the 80s with Atari and all the rest of them guys, and the Odyssey, the big thing about E.T. killed the industry, the E.T. game killed the industry. And then what they've done with the Nintendo console was they marketed it as, no, this isn't a video games. This is a toy. This is a toy for kids, because when they done the original marketing, they advertised, Rob the robot you got with it and the gun, and this isn't a video games. No, this is an entertainment system. That was how they presented and marketed themselves, and sure enough, Nintendo became the biggest thing ever at that point. And then what they done with the, and then coming on from that, they went for the Super Nintendo. Now at that kind of time, it was Nintendo. What are we talking about? Right. So as we move into Super Nintendo era, Sega's still knocking around, going strong. They had the Master System. They were on the Mega Drive. You had Atari knocking around. The Atari was still knocking around at that point, and SNK were knocking around with the Neo Geo, which was just overpriced. No one could really afford it. So you had Nintendo and the Mega Drive competing with each other, and Super Nintendo and Mega Drive competing with each other, and it did become, an angry video game nerds talked about this, and he summed it up perfectly. It became what was called the Bit Wars, and it was about 16-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit, and that's how we went from Super Nintendo to PlayStation. PlayStation was, the big thing about PlayStation was it was 32-bit. The Saturn, the big thing about it was 32-bit. Nintendo 64, it was 64-bit. The Jaguar, I think was the Jaguar 32-bit or 64-bit? Yeah, it was all about the bits throughout that stage. And Nintendo couldn't win. After the 64, Xbox, PlayStation took over the market, and Nintendo released the GameCube. And, their marketing for the GameCube was, and I don't think a lot of people remember this, and I'll stand by this statement, but one of the benefits of the marketing for the PlayStation 2 particularly was that it's not just the games console, it's a DVD player. For £300, I think it was at the time, maybe 350, you are getting a games console and a DVD player. I know we all think DVDs becoming into a bit of a retro piece of tech at the moment, and the concept of physical media, but DVDs were fucking massive back then, and a DVD player was expensive. They weren't just like 50 quid you can get them for now, or even 10 years ago you probably get picking up 30 quid. At the time they were expensive things, and it was a huge jump from VHS to DVD. It was a massive step in terms of picture quality and sound and bonus features, director's commentary. You were getting, value for your money. If you spent £10 on a VHS tape or £10 on a DVD, the DVD was the better option always. So the PlayStation 2, that's how they sort of marketed it. It was like, oh, it's also got a DVD player, which was a big selling point. They tried that again with the PS3 with the Blu-ray. And with the Xbox, it was, they went a bit more, we're a games console, but I can't remember if Xbox, I think there was an attachment for Xbox to the DVD, wasn't there? Yeah, there was, because you had the DVD remote. And they both kind of done that thing. And then when Nintendo bought the GameCube, and I stand by this, their marketing aspect, and even the name GameCube was they're like, we are not doing any extras whatsoever with this console. This is not a big deal. What this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is a games console, because that's what Nintendo do. And that's what we've done with the Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64. We make great games consoles for gamers. And that's what they've done. They paid Capcom a shitload of money to get Resident Evil 4 on it. And it didn't really transpire. A lot of people have got fond memories of the GameCube. A lot of kids, you know, people who are probably, I mean, I'm 31, so maybe some people in like their early 20s and late teens who perhaps grew up with the GameCube when they were younger, because it was a cheap console, and that's what Nintendo have always done. They've produced cheap game consoles from a pricing standpoint, because they've never really pushed the tech to higher levels. They've done it with the N64. Nintendo 64 was a big thing. You know, they were like, we're skipping 32. They had a dodgy deal with Sony on a Nintendo PlayStation. They were like, whoop, we're skipping 32. We are going straight to 64-bit, onwards and upwards to the graphical bit future. And I mean, it's surprising, because Nintendo 64 sold shitloads. It's one of the most popular consoles of all time. It's got a great library. But they didn't do that anymore. They kind of just stopped and went, well, we're not going to bother about pushing technology too far. Because the 64 console itself was, I think it was like £250 at the time. It was cheaper than the console was cheaper than the PlayStation. The games were like 60, 70, 80 odd quid sometimes, because it was still a big console, and that cost more than the PlayStation, which was on discs, as we all know. So, but with the 64, they pushed it, and then with the Wii, they went back to, we're a toy company. That was what the Wii was. The Wii was a return to the Nintendo, we're a toy company. And the Wii U was then, the Wii U was kind of like the GameCube. It was, well, we're just making a games console, and we're going to do something different and we're going to try to do something innovative with the games console. We're going to basically take the DS and we're going to put it in a home console setting. And they tried to do it, and it didn't transfer in sales, because no one was really bothered. I remember when the Wii U was announced, because I watched the announcement video for it, and Nintendo stocks went down afterwards. When I first saw that console, I was like, brilliant, because I just saw there was just a flow of ideas of what people could do with it. And sorry, I'm sounding scratch. There was a flow of ideas of what people could do with that console, and no one done it, because and from what I hear, from what I've read from developers talking about it, Nintendo just didn't help them out doing it. And even Nintendo themselves didn't do a lot of the potential that had. And so it's quietly sort of died and fell away, and I wrote a piece about it when the Switch was when they first announced they were working on Nintendo NX. I wrote, that's it, Wii U's dead. Gone. Bye-bye.